Your meeting, Madam Chairman.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Good evening, everyone, to the Finance Committee meeting for November 24, 2020. So the first item in our agenda is to call to order. So do we have a quorum? Yes, I think Randy is in the chambers. Okay. So next we move to the second item is to approval of the minutes from the November 10, 2020 Finance Committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move?
All those, any question? No? All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
So next is a public appearance for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in the chamber or online?
No, ma'am, the chamber is empty.
Okay, thank you. So next we move to the finance director report. Misty?
Yep. So we have lots of numbers coming in now for property taxes. So the Madison School District levy was a 2.8% increase. The Verona School District levy was a 3.1% increase. The county levy was a 3.6% increase. We also had our final assessed values were certified last week. So it was a $3.74 billion is what our total assessed value is. It was 1% difference from what my estimates were as of when we did the budget. So the rates are a little bit different, but pretty similar to what we were talking about. The lottery credit came in, that's about a $20 drop for each parcel. And then the first dollar credit is about the same as last year. And then back on our assessed value, our ratio, we usually are right around 100% because we're a maintenance community. We look at our sales every year and try to keep it right around 100. We are at 100.99% for this last year. So we're right there at what our target was. And then overall rates, so city, county, school district, etc. The rates for each school district, for each category decreased between 1.5% and 3.3%, depending on which school district people are in. So rates went down. Of course, that does not mean tax bills are all going down, because that also factors in what the assessment is for the individual properties.
How much was the Oregon one?
I reported that at the last meeting.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can get it to you.
Okay.
I don't have it written down. While we're talking about tax collection, so right now we have most of the numbers that we need. We're waiting for the county at this point to get the software and all of their stuff ready to go. They're the ones that actually calculate the bills for us and send them to the printer. Another thing that is changing is I've reported in the past that we were hoping to still do in-person tax collection. And with the recent public health information, we are pivoting on that. And we're going to do in-person by appointment only. So we strongly encourage people to use mail, Dropbox. You can pay online, though there is a fee for that. If people want a receipt back right away, they could include a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we will mail it back to them right away. Otherwise, Access Stain, which is the county's website, is updated with all of the receipts January 20th when we settle with the county. So if people are patient, they would be able to get it for free without the envelope on the website then too. So we're working on kind of our outreach with that. We're talking to the Star. We're going to make sure we work with Fact TV, who's wonderful about getting our messages out there. And we'll have signage and that type of a thing. Other things happening. So we had interviews last week for that open position. They went really well. We have hired a candidate. She will start December 14th. We're super excited about her. She has lots of really great experience, including in some of the softwares that we have already. So we're really looking forward to her starting. And then audit went well last week. Moody's is next week, so gearing up to do that. And then the CARES funding, we submitted for that last week. We submitted for our full amount of the allocation, plus we submitted extra just in case it turns out there's extra money available. We'd be happy to take it. But you'll see a resolution referred out tonight, acted on at the next one to do the budget amendment related to that CARES funding. That's all I have.
Question for Misty. So how much is the city portion of the, can you repeat again from, for taxes?
City portions, like our, so the levy that we adopted, do not have that open, but I can get it. So you want just the city's portion of the tax bill, not the overall tax bill?
No.
So our total levy was $24,883,702.
Mm-hmm.
And then our assessed value tax rate for just the city portion was $7.69. That's a 28-cent drop and a 3.5% decrease.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Are you planning to publish this or to in the website or something like that? All
we
of
have-
this number?
We have to get everything finalized with the county first. So this
Okay.
is my information, but the county double checks it for me.
Okay.
And then once that's done, it's out. There's the tax insert that we put together that has some of those fast facts on the right-hand side. The tax bill obviously would list that specifically, and then we have another page that we put out on the website.
Any question for Misty? I don't see Randy, so Randy, if you have a question, can you use the chat for me? Because now I can see you. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, thank you, Misty. So next, we move to the review of the bills. So the first batch is the detailed review of check for $10,000 and above, dated November 1st to November 15, 2020, totaling $958,441 with 2 cents. Any question in the batch? No? Okay. Randy?
No question.
I don't see Randy. Okay. Second is the detailed review of all check issued, check number 121372-121424, dated November 1st to November 15, 2020, totaling $1,061,049 with 46 cents. I have a question on page 14. 1 second, I close the package. It's about the school zone. What is a speed?
Blinker and radar speed. Blinker.
Yeah, from which school is that the New Oregon?
Muted, Misty.
Misty, you're muted.
I believe it's Leopold, but I'd have to double check that to be sure. I can get back to you.
Oh, okay. No, I was curious to see which school was. Okay. Any other question?
Nothing here.
Randy?
No, nothing.
Okay. Okay, so next we move to the detailed review of all P-card transactions for $10,000 and above for the cycle ending October 6, 2020, totaling $93,749 with 11 cents. Sorry. Any question? I have a question, Misty. Why we don't have, when we are reviewing October bills, why we are in November? Why we cannot review up to November, the first week of November?
So the P card cycle ends on the 6th of every month.
Okay.
And then once the cycle ends, it has to go through the
Okay.
cardholder has to code all of the charges. It gets approved by their department head, by me, and then it gets posted. And
Okay.
we don't want to show you just partial. We like to show you a whole cycle at a time. So
Okay. Good to know. I forgot about that. So any question in this batch? No? Okay, so next we move to the review of all P-card transactions for the cycle ending October 6, 2020, totaling $212,335 with 74 cents. Any question? No? Oh, Gabriela.
Yeah, looking at page 34, which is page 18 of this section. Do I have my number? Oh, I'm sorry. Pages 32 and 33. There was the card used in error designation. I'm just curious what that means.
So every once in a while, the P card is a credit card and it looks very similar to somebody's personal card, and they may accidentally use the wrong one. And then we obviously get reimbursed for it right away. And then it's okay. If somebody does that often or multiple times, then we will talk to them about if we need to withdraw their. But we haven't had that situation where it's gotten to that point in the past.
Got it. And then how does that work in terms of revenue? Is it just I'm just curious how that, obviously it's an accident, the accidents happen, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, so instead of putting it to an expense account, we put it to a receivable account, which means that somebody owes us that reimbursement for it. So it never actually hits the city's profit and loss statement. It just hits our balance sheet, and then we get paid back for it really quickly.
Great, thanks.
Okay, any other question? Okay, so next we move to the action items. So the first one, I need a motion to approve resolution R-196-20, authorizing acceptance of minor modification to contract with AES2S for the stormwater management study for the Curry Court and Old Indian Trail areas.
I move to approve.
I need a second.
No, I don't believe you do.
No? Okay. So what is this, Misty?
So this was a contract that you guys had approved previously as a separate pre-approval. However, there were some somewhat minor changes to the contract language, but they weren't so minor that staff felt comfortable just doing them on our own. So we're bringing it back to you simply to clean up some of that contract language to get your permission. It did go through Valerie, our city attorney, and she feels comfortable with it.
Did Public Works approve it?
I believe so.
Okay. Any question?
I do have a question. It's for Misty.
Okay.
This is just language, correct?
Correct. The project, the pricing, all of that stuff is the same. It's just those two things on the referral sheet that was changed slightly.
Okay, thank you.
So everyone is okay. So I need all those in favor of resolution R-196-20 say aye.
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 Aye. Nays, the motion carries. So next, I need a motion to approve resolution R-19H-20, approving an affiliate agreement with the Madison Water Utility. Okay, so what is this?
So there are some parcels in the city, some properties in the city that are serviced by City of Madison Water, but City of Fitchburg Sewer. So the water meter that calculates how much water is used is a City of Madison meter, and then they share that meter information with us so that we can bill the right people. Sharing the meter reads is not a problem, but we ran into a problem with the relatively new privacy laws that Madison didn't feel comfortable passing on the payment or the payer information, the property owner information to us. But it's important so that we can bill the right people for their sewer usage. So what this MOU does is it basically establishes that relationship between the City of Madison and the City of Fitchburg so that they can share that private information with us simply for billing purposes. And this was the recommended path from the PSC on how we get that information sharing to happen.
Gabriela?
So a couple questions. Is this the first time we've had to do this MOU? And does this last in perpetuity, or is there a specific amount of time that it's good for?
So it is the first. There was a law change in the relatively recent future that really tightened up the privacy laws. So that's why this became an issue for the first time. And then the expectation is that it would be in perpetuity as long as those parcels exist that share service between us.
And will we have to update it for the town of Madison annexation, or does this extend to that as well?
I think it's generic enough that it's specific. It's whatever patient or payer information that we need, regardless of the area of the city. So I think that it's covered, but we'll make sure to keep an eye on that as we move forward.
My question is, those parcels are going to be part of the city in 2 years.
These are parcels that are already in the city that are serviced by Madison.
Yeah,
Water.
but then
So these aren't town parcels that we're talking about right now.
so when we have the dissolution of the they are not okay. Even though after the dissolution of the town of Madison, they are going to still be part of Madison.
So that's the the question that Gabriella had was for the parcels with the town. The properties that we're talking about that actually started this MOU is current city of Fitchburg properties that
Oh.
just get water service from Madison.
And where are the, I asked a question to Pat yesterday, but I want to ask this question so people know, where are those parcels located?
You know what? I don't know specifically, but there's a couple of little pockets of the city.
I could answer that. It's basically along Stewart Street where Fitchburg's border is adjacent to that of the city of Madison. So those water mains were put in prior to Fitchburg incorporating. So basically right on our far north side, pretty much. And like Misty said, it's not the full street. It's little pockets where Madison brought their water over.
Okay. Any other question, comments? No? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-19A-20 say aye.
Aye.
Nay, the motion carries. So next, I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-205-20 is the recreation staffing in 2021. This is a direct referral.
I move to approve.
Okay, so Sarah is gonna be talking about this?
Sarah will kick it off, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're muted,
Muted,
Sarah.
I'm on mute. My apologies. So we had taken to the Personnel Committee the fact that due to no recreation programming in 2020, we were looking at 2 employees, Austin and Chad, who are also on the call today, that we're going to potentially need to be laid off going into 2021 because of lack of recreation programming. Personnel said, please take this back and do whatever you can to find the funds to keep them on employed full-time and making the same rate of pay for 2021. So we went back, and I know Misty's been really busy trying to look for alternatives and some options so that we can keep Austin and Chad on. There's plenty of work to be done. So even though recreation programming isn't going to be in full swing in 2021 right away, we can still have them working in the Parks Department. There's a lot of work to be done. So we can really use them there. So that's just kind of a little bit of an opener, but Misty will be presenting, some of the options that she had costed out that would basically cover the cost of keeping Austin and Chad on for 2021.
And I could add to that a little bit because it also went to Parks Commission, and Parks Commission concurred with the amended resolution that was put forth by the Personnel Committee. So that's what you have in front of you.
Yeah, so my question is, okay, so we have in front of us this resolution amended by personnel, approved by Parks, but my question is, how will we incorporate information that Misty sent us 1 hour ago to us?
Misty will go over that, yeah.
Yeah, I can answer that. So
One second, Gabriela, do you have any?
I can wait.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Miss.
So I was asked to cost a couple of different options. Yes, those were emailed to you separately. Because it's a budget amendment, and budget amendments have very specific rules as far as public notice and the variety of account numbers that need to be associated with it. So we can't amend the resolution in front of you now to do a budget amendment to do an alternate option. The process that would be best would be to postpone this resolution until the next meeting, and then ask me to do a budget amendment resolution as a direct referral to the next meeting. And so I have one that the mayor has asked me to work on. And if you guys have other budget amendment resolutions you'd like me to work on, I could do that as well. I'm following the normal rules, so it'd take 2 alders to put it on the agenda. And so do you want me to talk about those options or ask other questions first?
I have a quick question. So if we wanted to come up with other potential funding options, would you draft multiple resolutions that would cover each one of those options and then we could have an opportunity to discuss all of those?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And I would say keep the resolution that's in front of you, keep that one on the table as well in case there's not a budget amendment option that's selected by all of the council. So kind of do it as one big package, but they would be each individual resolution so that we can make sure that the public is noticed about what is being discussed.
Okay, can you go and discuss your options?
Yep. So the one that the mayor asked me to cost is instead of, well, first let me back up. So the cost, the budget hole that we would have for 2021, if there's no recreation programming at all in 2021 due to COVID, is about $93,000. It's not the full amount of the rec program fee revenue because we do have some expenses that in theory we wouldn't spend either. So that net deficit that we would have if COVID continues and the full-time staff are kept on as is about $93,000. So that was the amount of the budget amendment that we will be proposing at the next meeting. So the option that I was asked to cost would be changing the cost of living adjustment that was approved. So in the adopted 2021 budget is a 2% COLA, dropping that down to a 1% COLA instead. And then our pay plan has steps for the first part and then pay for performance for the back part. So the pay for performance base that was authorized in the adopted 2021 budget was 1%. I'm dropping that down to 0%. That would be a cost savings in the general fund and Fact TV fund, which are funded by property taxes, to just about $94,500. And that would be able to make up the difference. So that's the budget amendment that I'll be working on to get direct referred at the next meeting. There's obviously other things that council could do, and you may have other options as well. Other things that I just put on that list that you mentioned I sent out not that long ago, I did cost out as well. If you keep the COLA drop from 2% to 1%, but do the pay for performance from 1% to 0.5%. So that doesn't quite get you there, but it gets you most of the way. In theory, all of the council amendments that were approved as part of the 2021 budget that added levy funding could be reconsidered. So those are all on that list as well. And then the other one that I added is, in theory, if the two staff will be working on parks functions, that perhaps you remove one or two of the LTE parks staff that work in the summer because that work will be done by the full-time staff instead. So I put those on there as just items that I had costed out. But again, the one that I'll be working on for the next meeting is that first one. Unless council asks me to do something otherwise.
Before I continue, I don't know if Austin and Chad want to say something about. Hello?
Yeah, this is Chad. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm certainly, and I don't want to speak for Austin, but, I'm extremely appreciative that, the city is willing to try to come up with, options, whatever those options might be, to basically retain us in whole. The plan for us is obviously to at some point return to rec programming. In the first part of the year, certainly we'll be doing planning for the spring, planning for the summer. So, worst case scenario, 2021 would be a complete wash in terms of in-person programming, but, certainly we can look at, doing virtual programming, which, I know wouldn't be as successful as in-person. But again, hopefully the goal, or hopefully the reality will be sooner rather than later into 2021, we'll be able to return to in-person and help offset this, this $93,000 deficit. And again, I'm certainly appreciative of the, the options that are on the table. So, I'll let Austin weigh in if he's got anything else.
No, I just pretty much second what Chad said, and he kind of covered everything.
Okay, thank you. Scott, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I'm wondering if the Parks Department, if we'd have an opportunity to try and provide options to come up with that $93,000, if we have an opportunity to provide some proposals.
Okay, so are you saying that you want to bring some proposal too?
Well, I'm thinking that we might have some ideas on how we might be able to fill that that shortage of funds also. Just wanted to see if we would have an opportunity to present some potential options.
I can jump in here. Scott, if you have any ideas, I would take those directly to the mayor. The mayor could work, the mayor and I really, and we could, if the mayor agrees, he could have another amendment proposed. But at this point in time, I mean, staff can't propose amendments to the budget.
Okay.
Gabriela?
Scott, I would, so Misty's idea to potentially remove the LTE park staff, since Austin and Chad will presumably be able to do some of that work themselves. Does that sound like something that's a possibility for you?
Certainly, but I guess I'm pretty optimistic by summertime, we're going to be running to some degree, some kinds of rec programs. So I don't know the availability of Chad and Austin if it's, goes as we're thinking it's going to go. But certainly, anything to try and keep them on board, that's for sure. I'm just thinking that I'm anticipating that the summer programming is going to be, I know the kids are going to be looking to get outside, so I think we're going to try and do whatever we can, to get those programs going during the summer.
And a follow-up question, Misty, do you have a sense of how much money that would save if we removed a couple of the LTE staff and that was workable from the parks perspective? Do you know how much savings that would be?
Yep, so it's about $7,000 a position, more or less. And these are 480-hour positions just for the summer.
And how many positions are there?
4. So it's technically a pool of LTE hours, but we usually hire between 3 and 4 and 5 people depending on candidates. And it's a pool of hours that they all share.
Okay, so but it's 4 times 7,000, so it's 28,000, or it's just 7,000?
Nope, so it's 27,386 is the amount that we have budgeted in total for LTE parks maintenance staff.
I have a question.
In the summer.
Randy, go ahead.
Okay. So can you use the chat or?
I don't have the chat. Julia, I don't have a chat. I'm in the chambers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were.
No, we've clarified that when we first opened the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, so do you want to ask a question, Randy?
I do want to ask a question, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
The question is, Misty, is the LTE removal, this is just really a clarification, is that on top of the original proposal from the mayor, which I'm calling number 1? Or is this a second option, which doesn't get us to 93,000?
Right, it would ultimately be a second option. So the option that will be a separate resolution is the first one I talked about, the 94,000, and that would cover the full amount of the deficit. If council or you guys would like to explore some of those other as a combination, we could put together those as a separate resolution as well. I guess my thoughts are, if you have one that hits that number, I don't know why you would do a budget amendment to take something else away.
Okay, thank you.
Gabriela.
This might be small potatoes, but I'm curious so we were talking, Misty, you and I, about, is it the WEX cards, the cards that we use to fill up at the public pumps for gas rather than the private pumps? And presumably that will potentially save us money given or all the departments on for the city that is able to use those cards, are they using them?
So everybody has access to them. The people that use it depends on kind of their operational efficiency. So I'd say a lot of the park staff uses the city pumps because it's right there at the maintenance facility, which is where a lot of their equipment and vehicles are. So that's just more convenient for them. The other thing actually that is a great segue, if you don't mind me jumping on it. So I know questions have been asked too about different savings that we've had in 2020. You know, there was a couple of positions that were vacant, the CARES funding that we got, that type of a thing. And the 2020 savings that we've had in that budget has really what's been able to fund the redeployments up to this point. Yes, we'll have a little bit of a surplus, but that's how we should be. You know, as a municipality, we should never run a deficit unless it's planned. So 2020 is kind of its own bag, and now we would be looking at 2021 budget amendments to possibly change.
I guess I was under the impression that the CARES Act funding was what was filling the gap for the recreation staff for this current year.
No, so CARES Act funding was not allowed to backfill revenues. That was not a eligible expense. So it helped contribute to the overall budget, I would say, because we did have all of the unexpected expenditures in order to address COVID were covered, though we didn't have to find another place for it. I mean, then we did have some other things that came in well, which is what made the overall budget work out okay. And I know there's been some question too about if we get CARES funding for 2021. I, of course, hope that we do, but we'll have to be very specific about what the eligibility is for that grant and what that's allowed to be used for. And who knows?
Okay, so one of my questions, Misty, is that even though, with the option that you provide here, with a reduced COLA from 2 to 1%, so employees that are going to have a 1% increase if we go through that one.
Correct.
And I know, it could be hard for people that we are not going to provide the whole, but then, we're doing this for the greater good, to save 2 positions. I think they should be, if we go with this option, they should be proud that they are helping 2 coworkers to keep their job. So, my personal opinion about this is that I believe that we need to retain the position, especially I will be very uncomfortable if we need to lay off like Austin. And then in this pandemic, when he really have the health insurance through the city, it's not going to be a good situation that we lay, even though we can cover 3 months, but we don't know for how long it's going to last this pandemic. So laying off people that a person that he's not going to have access to health insurance in a global health crisis. I don't see I cannot do that personally. Second, I believe this one is temporary, that now with the vaccine, maybe it's going to take a couple of months to back up to a new normal, but maybe I believe that some of the summer activity will come back. So I think that we need to do whatever we have in our power to find the money to cover these 2 positions. So I don't recommend to go to the council proposed amendment to the budget, that the one that we work very hard, I personally, I am not gonna go through those. Maybe I can bring other proposal for December. I was looking at the budget, and there are other places where we can take the money. So my position is that we should, we need to work toward a solution to keep these 2 employees in the payroll. Gabriela.
I'll let Randy go though if he has questions.
I don't see Randy. So Randy, do you have a question?
No, I do not have a question, but I since I've been given the floor, I'm going to second what Alder Arata has mentioned. I'm not completely sure about the number 1, but it does seem to make the most logical sense. And I have been in that position where I've been asked by many others as well for my career to take a decrease, and it can have an effect on morale, but one gets through it. And I think as Alder Arata has mentioned, you should be proud that you were able to save some of your coworkers, your colleagues that you work with, and their position. So I think with that, I'll leave it at that for right now until we have further discussion.
Gabriela, do you have anything?
Yeah, so for the cost of living adjustment change, that option, if say the recreation revenue comes back in midway through the year because of the change in the pandemic, could we then add a merit-based adjustment back in mid-year, or does that have to be determined upfront before 2021?
There's some logistics with that. I guess I would lean towards doing an additional COLA instead, because the merit is based on your anniversary date. So if somebody has an anniversary, say in January, they wouldn't get it. But if somebody had an anniversary date after that change, they might. And doing retro pay can get complicated from a payroll perspective. So I guess my preference, just from a process, would be, yes, if everything turns out great and everything's back to normal on July 1st or whatever that magic day is, we reevaluate what we expect our budget to look like at that point and determine how much of a additional COLA could be awarded at that point, and then do it from that point forward.
Great, so I'm glad that that's a possibility that we could change that mid-year.
Yep, so just be another resolution through council.
And I have one final thing that's on a separate note,
Okay.
but I'll wait if anyone else has a finance funding question.
Go ahead.
So the actual resolution, page 72 of the packet, page 15 of the section, the amendment that Personnel Committee made, my understanding when I voted for it was just an addition of the be it resolved, management staff will work towards the last sentence. I did not intend to vote to remove that previous paragraph, which is how it's noted on the resolution. So I'm curious where the miscommunication happened on that front. And I don't know. I mean, obviously Tom and Dorothy aren't in this meeting, so they can't speak to it. But I guess when I voted in personnel, that was not my understanding of what I was voting for. My preference would be to keep both of them, both of those phrases.
I'll go back. I took the minutes and they're already published on the city's website. So I'll go back and just see maybe where the miscommunication was. But I was one that put the resolution together based off the minutes from the personnel. So yeah, I'll have to look back on those because I don't recall. I thought everything was accurate.
But it would be possible to reinstate that.
We can do it.
Okay.
We could
So
do that.
We can do
Finance
it.
committee could even do it.
Yeah, you want to do it? You can.
Yeah, I move to reinstate the, be it further resolved by the Fitchburg Common Council that once the state of the COVID-19 pandemic has improved significantly to allow significant participation in recreation programs, the mayor and city administrator will determine that layoffs are no longer necessary and the positions will be filled. Reinstate that language.
And so Gabriella, you had the original motion to approve it. So I assume you are just modifying your original one, or do you want to do a formal amendment? Why don't we do a formal amendment? So you
Yeah,
made a
let's do an
motion.
amendment. Let's vote on the amendment separately. Yeah, that'd be great.
So, okay, my question to you, Gabriela, is why do you want to keep this one? I want to follow the logic.
Yeah, so I guess my thinking was that the addition of that final stanza was to clarify that we are strongly encouraging staff to do whatever is possible to keep the positions in. But if we get to a position where we vote yes for this and the two positions are laid off, I do want us to restore those positions as soon as possible once the pandemic conditions are better. And I think that that is encapsulated in that missing paragraph, but it is not anywhere else if we don't keep it. So I guess I would prefer to keep both, and I'm happy to hear dissenting opinions, but I just don't think they're contradictory, and I think that they're both important points.
But for me, okay, so for me, the second one is, you know, implicit is the concept that we are gonna retain this position. You know what I mean? So, you know, I want to approve a resolution where we say that we want to keep these two positions. And so far, you know, the language that is there the language is not there. You know what I mean?
I guess for me, it's just that if I want to retain these positions no matter what, I personally would vote no for this amendment. And I don't know that I've come to a final decision on this, yes or no, but I guess maybe I should clarify, if we pass this resolution in council, it gives the mayor and the administrator the ability to do the layoffs on their own without coming back to council. Is that right?
That is correct. And so I guess my recommendation, if you are thinking about possibly doing another option, would be to postpone this resolution to the next meeting as well. We'll vote on all the different budget amendments first, and then if for whatever reason council can't come to an agreement on an alternate option, then this would be your choice at that point.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because I want to approve a resolution where it says that we are keeping the employee, and this resolution, it doesn't say that. And I don't want to give it the mayor and the city administration you know, I don't want them to be in charge of laying off people without our consultation. So, you know, we can postpone that. I don't know, Randy, what do you think?
No, we can postpone. I don't have an objection.
Because I will say that by December 8th, we are gonna have a resolution with a solution to keep them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I prefer not to vote on this amendment to add that language back in?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll withdraw, and I, in the hope that we'll postpone. Well, I guess I'll withdraw my amendment, and I move to postpone this resolution to the next finance meeting, which I believe is December 8th.
So you're withdrawing both the original motion to approve as well as the amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're making a new motion to postpone.
To postpone, yeah.
12-8, correct?
Yes.
Okay, my question, and okay, I have another question before. So if we postpone, so then we cannot discuss in council.
No, you can still discuss it.
Okay, okay.
Because
Okay.
technically council should, my opinion would be council should postpone it as well.
Okay,
And you can have those budget amendment options at the same meeting.
and if Alder wants to bring additional option solution, we can talk to you, Misty.
Yep, so the mayor can direct me to work on a resolution, or two council people could put something
Okay.
on the agenda. And I just respectfully request a little bit of time to put these things together, especially if it's something that affects a bunch of different account numbers.
Okay. So are all in agreement with this?
So you still have to vote on the motion to postpone.
Okay, so do I have a motion to postpone this resolution until December 8th?
Yes, so moved.
All those in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Okay. Okay, thank you. So next, I need approval of resolution. I need a motion to approve resolution R-206-20, the Family Medical Leave Act, carryover memorandum of understanding between the city and the firefighter local 311. This is another direct referral.
Motion to move?
Okay, so Misty or Sarah, I don't know who's gonna be doing this.
Sarah would be good.
Sure, yeah. So this was actually one that came to Finance Committee for the police union last time. So in the employee handbook, we made a change that anyone experiencing an FMLA event in the next year would get the ability to get a carryover up to 180 hours of combined vacation and or comp time to use for the FMLA event. And so anytime we deviate from the contract, we really need to have MOUs. So that's where police brought their MOU for the 180 carryover for FMLA event last time, and this is fire. So their MOU is identical to the police MOU, but it references the different articles that are in the fire contract. So again, it just authorizes any of our represented fire staff to be able to carry over up to 180 hours of that comp and or vacation for an FMLA event. So it's just so that we're consistent with all of our employees.
Any question? Why we don't have any of the people from the firefighter here to discuss this?
They asked if they needed to be here, and Pat and I said we would be here, so we didn't feel that we needed to have them here.
Okay. Any questions? Randy?
No questions.
Okay, Gabriela? No? All those in favor of resolution R-206-20 say aye.
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 Aye. Nays, the motion carries. So next, I need a motion to approve resolution R-207-20, approving a state municipal agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for the reconstruction of Lacey Road. This is another direct referral.
I move to approve.
Okay, so this one is,
So the
Yeah.
city is applying for $1 million T grant to help pay for some of the costs along Lacey. This is one of the agreements that's required in order to be considered for that grant. So we've done something very similar for the other 2 T grants that we've received lately, one for Sub-Zero Parkway and one for Fahey Glen. And then we got another one a couple years back before then too. So it's a great way for us to help offset some of the costs to put in this infrastructure. And we're hopeful that we are awarded.
okay. Any question?
I have a question.
Gabriela?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
let Randy
Oh,
go.
Randy?
I'm sorry. When
Okay.
when do we find out if, or when is the grant awarded approximately? I mean, what part of the year?
I think it's an open period of time. So last I heard, we were hoping soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Gabriela?
My question is just, is there anything about this agreement that's out of the ordinary? Or is this just a standard thing that we have to do before applying for a T grant?
It's a standard thing that we have to do. It's very much so the template that they use, although it has gone through our staff as well to make sure we know what we're agreeing to.
Great.
Any other questions? None? So all those in favor of resolution R-207-20 say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay. The motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve resolution R-20210-20, amending the 2020 general fund budget. It's for the external investigation services. This is another direct referral.
Motion to move.
Okay, Sarah?
Yeah, so in the packet, you should have seen a memo basically requesting, we are going to be going with a group called the Riesling Group. And this investigator has extensive amount of experience. We actually reached out to 3 different companies, and she actually had the lowest cost. But basically, it's going to be less than $5,000 for the investigation in total. And so what we're looking to do is transfer $2,500 of the unused contingency and $2,500 of the unused city administrator training budget to be able to pay for this investigation. So, you know, really it's, if you want me to get into the details of what it covers, I can certainly do that. But that's the where we'll be pulling the money and putting it for the use of this investigation.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sarah, where's the money coming from again? Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Yep. So there's unused money in the administrator's training budget due to COVID. A number of the different conferences this year were canceled or went virtual. And then there's $2,500. So that's $2,500 coming from unused city administrator training, and then $2,500 from unused contingency.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So why we don't have a closed session here and we have a one in the council? What is the difference?
So at this point, Finance Committee is talking about the budget amendment,
Okay,
so it's
okay.
expected there might be more conversation. at the
Okay.
council.
Gabriela, do you have a question?
I mean, I have no problems with the finances of this, and I appreciate staff for finding the funding for this in the budget, so we don't have to do a 2/3 vote. And I do have some questions about the content of the investigation, but I think those are more appropriate for council. So that's all for now.
Okay, so, I know that 5,000, I think the, $5,000 and the per hour rate is 175, so they're gonna be 28 hours at least. What happens if they need more hours?
So if there are more hours needed, we'll have to come back probably and do some type of budget amendment to get that money. But we have up to 5,000. I mean, it might not need a full 5,000. It all depends on the scope and everything that we use the Riesling group for.
So, on what is the time frame here? Because I don't see a time frame. So if we approve this and then they start doing the investigation. So when we are gonna have, did they give you any time frame?
So I actually talked to her. She's available right away. So tomorrow, as long as everything passes tonight, then I'll be in contact with her tomorrow and we'll get started. So she's available right now to get started on things. So she didn't present a timeline, so to speak, yet, but she's available and she was looking forward to starting it as soon as possible.
But, so we anticipate that we are gonna have any, result by the end of the year or in January, do you know?
She
How
would
long
bring
usually?
She would bring her final report to council as a presentation. So, with the December 8th, that there's nothing going to be ready by December 8th. But if you had a later meeting in December potentially, but I would suspect January, there should be some type of a report for the council.
Okay. The other thing I want to mention that it was very surprising to find out that we had $2,500 still in the contingency fund. But when we tried to do the polling station to send the postcard, this money wasn't available for us. So why? Can you tell me, Misty?
I believe we talked about the contingency funding at that point too.
No, I don't remember. Because, it's surprising that we didn't have $1,000 to send for postcard, but now suddenly we have $2,500 that we found here to pay for this investigation. So, I want to know, it's kind of odd to me.
So I can point out for you what account number is on the treasurer's report that shows the amount of contingency that's left. We started with 12,500 and then council approved using it for the town appraisal, and then council approved using some for the election worker pay increase. I think those were the only two things that were approved. And then this, if that's approved.
I don't, okay. Okay,
I'll send you an email.
yeah, I am very surprised, so, okay, so any other question? No? Randy?
No, I'll leave my questions
Okay.
to council. Thank you.
Okay, so all those in favor of resolution R-210-20, say aye.
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 Nays? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, so announcement. Any announcement, Misty? No? Okay. So the next meeting is gonna be December 8th, 2020. So I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 So nays, the meeting is adjourned at 6:28. Thank you very much.